Hey, Mr. Boss, I brought these oats for you. Say, you've decorated this place differently.
Yeah, it's because the stupid higher-ups wanted this office to look more professional. Say, did you say you brought me oats?
Yeah, you said you wanted oats for breakfast, so I brought you some.
See, Tail, you bumbling marshmallow! I asked for goats for breakfast, not oats. I'm not some kind of vegetable eater, for crying out loud. I crave meat!
Goats?
Yeah, goats! Yeah. I hate being so misunderstood sometimes. I mean, I finally get to be the boss of my own place, and still, to this day, not one hero has shown up to try to steal my treasure! What am I even doing?
Are you sure that when this place wanted a boss, that you didn't actually miss?
No!
Did you hire me because you think I'd be able to—
I hired you because you were the biggest candidate and therefore would have the highest HP and defense stats, I think.
Right, Say, if you're not gonna eat those oats, can I?
No, I'm punishing you!
Aww. Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've done a video that was pretty much exclusively for my already existing audience, so today, I'm doing that. Oats is a programming language that was created by Otsunki. It's a 2D programming language, meaning execution is based on location on a 2D grid. Unlike most programming languages, Oats uses a lot of weird special characters, which makes writing code in it great! Yay! Let's start with the basic Hello World program. Here it is. Oats stores all of its data in a stack, which is a data structure where things placed most recently are also taken off most recently. This program places the phrase Hello World onto the stack, and then pops it off the stack and reads it out using this command. Okay then, that seems simple enough.
What? What's this for?
Well, Carl, even though it looks exactly like a carrot, that symbol in the documentation is not actually a carrot. It's the macOS control key symbol, which only looks like a carrot in every single font that has ever been made.
Okay, so I'll replace it with the control key symbol on the bad computers. And now it works. Surely this isn't foreshadowing future problems with fonts. Turn back now before it's too late!
Oats also provides the ability to do mathematical operations, because if it didn't, it would be unusable. For example, you can add 3 plus 2 by pushing a 3, pushing a 2, and then running the plus command. Multiplication is done the same way, just with a multiplication dot. And yes, it has to be a multiplication dot, an asterisk does not work. Also, since the plus is just a Python plus, it can also be used for string concatenation. Subtraction and division aren't that hard either. The minus command and the slash command negate a number and flip it to its reciprocal respectively. And then you can add or multiply those to perform subtraction and division. The minus code isn't working. I assume this is because the minus isn't the normal minus on my keyboard. It's not! Instead it's this slightly longer one. Because of course it is. For no reason. The regular minus doesn't do anything in Oats, and this symbol isn't even a minus in the Unicode standard, it's just a longer hyphen. But hey, math. We can also take in inputs from the user, cast them to floats using the real number symbol, and then use those inputs in the calculations. If we provide the ability to do all of these different calculations in one program and let the user select it, we can make a 4-function calculator. Also, the input command is just the output command, but upside down. Don't know why I'm bothering to say this out loud, you can see it. But of course, unlike all of these previous examples, a 4-function calculator requires the code to branch. Oats only has one way to branch, the switch case statement. When a program encounters a switch case, represented as these weird tall bracket things, it selects a path to run. It pops the top value off the stack. If that's a 0, it runs the top row. If it's a 1, it runs the second row, and it keeps going until it reaches the bottom, which gets run if any of the previous ones didn't happen. In the calculator, for example, we want to add numbers when the user types a plus. To check if the input is a plus, we duplicate the top element on the stack, represented as a macOS option key for some reason, push a plus, and then use the equal symbol to check if they are equal. If they are, we have a true on the stack, and if they're not, we have a false. Finally, we convert this to an integer using the mathematical symbol meaning the set of all integers. Now, we can feed that into a switch case. The top path gets taken if we don't input a plus, and the bottom path gets taken if we do. In the bottom path, we simply output the sum of the things that are left on the stack, which would be our 2 inputs, and then the program would end. The rest of the calculator after that is pretty straightforward. It just does the other symbols and the other mathematical operations. Wait a minute, how come when I try to type this out on my PC, it doesn't work? It's the weird symbol issues again. That can't be right, I typed all the right symbols. Well, it kind of is a problem with the symbols again. It has to do with the appearance of the symbols this time. Even though these look aligned, they aren't. What do you mean by that? They're visually aligned, they're aligned, right? Not necessarily. And that's because these weird symbols are also weird sizes. Most fonts, like Montserrat here, have characters that are different widths. As a result, they don't line up cleanly when stacked on multiple rows. This isn't really a problem if you're writing a document or a YouTube video, but in programming, especially in a language like Python where indentation has meaning, you want every symbol to be the exact same width, like you see in the consoleless font. That's why programming fonts look the way they do. But since most programming fonts don't actually have these weird symbols, the fonts are just using defaults, which were made for non-monospaced fonts. And so their widths are inconsistent, and we end up having code that is technically lined up, but not visually lined up, which is very confusing to look at. So, is there any way to actually get them to line up? For whatever reason, Discord likes these symbols to line up. It's the only time I've seen it look right. That's because Discord uses the Menlo font, which actually has its own versions of all of these symbols. And that's why I've been using Menlo in this video and not Consolas, even though I use Consolas normally. Anyway, here's one final program to demonstrate looping, the Fizzbuzz program. Fizzbuzz is a program that counts up from 1, replacing multiples of 3 with Fizz, and multiples of 5 with Buzz, and multiples of 15 with Fizzbuzz. Simple enough. Normally, when writing this, you want to use a modulo operation, which gets the integer remainder you would get if you divided the 2 numbers without allowing decimals. And Oats, for some reason, doesn't have that functionality by default. So I calculated it manually. This is done by subtracting the original quotient from its rounded down integer form and multiplying that decimal by the original denominator. Except with 3, doing this could lead to a result of 0.999 repeating, which, even though that is literally 1, rounds down to 0 because rounding always goes down.
What? 0.999 repeating isn't equal to 1? They're clearly different because they're written different!
Here's the proof that 0.9 repeating equals 1. Read it if you want, the video isn't about that. But to fix this problem, instead of multiplying by 3, I multiply by 3.000 bunch of zeros 1. So it actually yields something greater than 0. And then in the switch case, if it equals 0, then 3 divides evenly into the input and we print Fizz. The same happens with Buzz, and then there's a check at the very end to see if we want to print the actual number. Following all of that, we print a new line, and then the program loops back to the start. Except it doesn't loop all the way to the start, it doesn't send it back to 1. The start of the loop opens with a square bracket, and the loop ends with a curly bracket. I hate how mismatched that looks. Who cares? It's functional, sorta. Anyway, if you want to try out Oats yourself, a link to the interpreter is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time! Thank you so much to all the generous channel members, including Tyler Zonke,